At the turn of the 21st century, one of the biggest artists was Eminem. His songs drove the world crazy and continue to do so to this day. And one man in particular loved the rapper to death. His name was Stanley Mitchell, and he was Eminem's biggest fan. Stanley wrote various letters to the artist, growing in frequency and intensity until it sadly reached its boiling point, with dangerous results. Stanley wound up killing himself and his pregnant girlfriend. And in response to this catastrophic event, Eminem wrote a song aptly titled Stan, after the one fan of his that would sadly never be able to hear it. Stanley had what is known as a parasocial relationship. But what exactly is a parasocial relationship? Well, that's exactly what I wanted to find out. To learn more about them, I sat down with Maryam Matter, a neuroscientist and mental health specialist.
Hi, I'm Maryam. I'm a neuroscience and mental health specialist. So a parasocial relationship is a one-sided psychological or emotional bond between members of an audience and a celebrity or a public figure, entertainer or fictional character, where the member of the audience feels they know the performer and in some cases feel they're their friend or even more, but these feelings are not reciprocated. So the term parasocial relationships was actually coined in the 1950s to refer to this relationship, the psychological relationship between an audience member and performers on TV or voices on the radio. But more recently, people have formed parasocial relationships with bloggers, podcasters, and social media influencers. So they can become quite toxic and unhealthy, especially if they feel very strongly about this parasocial relationship. These interactions aren't decent or adequate even replacements for real life interactions, and they can become quite isolating. And they can also be quite harmful to the media personas involved, so celebrities, streamers, influencers, especially when these relationships go too far. Fans can create quite a lot of pressure, which can be a lot for them to cope with. And even some of the most well-known celebrities in the world, they suffer from things like stalking, harassment, online bullying, and some individuals might even see the media persona as their friend or even someone that they're in a relationship with.
But just hearing about them wasn't enough. I needed to hear from someone that had actually gone through one, from the side of the public figure, which is exactly what I did.
My name is Karl Smallwood. I've been creating content online for about a decade now, probably most well known for running a channel called Fiend on YouTube for the past 5 years, which I'm the founder and host of.
Karl was more than happy to talk to me about his experiences setting boundaries with his fans, and the cases from when these bounds were not accepted.
I've tried to establish quite definitive boundaries, as I think all people would, whether it's just a bit more difficult when you're online due to just the ubiquitousness of the internet right now. It's 24 hours a day as well. With how many followers we have and how many people watch our content, there's probably someone somewhere on earth at any given time of day watching something that I'm doing. And it could be from 5 years ago, it could have been from yesterday. So it's important to maintain separation of work and life balance, at least in my opinion. There's the usual, and it's weird to say the usual, considering how I guess the layperson on the street would find it horrifying of people just tracking down my address. I've had people post my mother's address online, try and send stuff to our house, try to get in contact with me during breaks from social media, which I advise everyone to do because it's just good for your mental health. I've had people contact me through friends and then friends of friends. My own brother has got people at his work who've recognised his last name, because I have a quite distinct last name, and have tried to ask for my phone number through him. And those are just the funny examples, and there's been more serious ones. I was contacted, it's about 3-4 years ago now, by a guy who, and I'm not making this up, I was contacted by a fan who'd watched our content, I found some comfort in it, and had grown attached to me as a personality, which happens naturally, just you exist online. But their attachment had gotten to the point where they were convinced that we'd be friends in real life. Again, a fairly common occurrence, but this person took it a step too far, because in their message to me, they told me that they'd cleaned up their house. And their reasoning for cleaning up their house and setting up their garage into a gaming room is in the hopes that I'd come visit. And they sent me a photo of the two TVs they set up next to each other where we could both sit. Tried to be as polite as I could. A few more messages later, they sent me some fan art of them making out with me, titled Name Redacted's First Kiss. But then I asked them to stop doing this, and they sent me a message that read, I'm going to paraphrase it here, something along the lines of, well, inspired by you, I'm going to go try and make something of myself. I'm not sure what it is I could do, but I'm sure it'll blow up in a few people's faces. Keep an eye on the news. And that message was sufficiently terrifying. I contacted the FBI.
And while extreme, Karl's example is just one of many cases of fans going incredibly far to get in touch with the people they are fixated on. Such as back in 2015, when a man obsessed with Rihanna posted photos of himself outside of her house, and even threatened her online with weapons. But parasocial relationships can't be all bad, can they? I mean, there's got to be some benefit to them, right?
Parasocial relationships can definitely decrease that sense of loneliness and provide companionship. They can create a sense of safety and belonging to a community, for example. You might feel joy when you're consuming the content or interacting with that media persona, even if it is unreciprocated.
To back up Maryam's claims, I had to get the perspective of an actual fan who had gone through the obsessive nature of celebrity fandom. Meet Berklie.
My name is Berklie Novak-Stolz. I am a writer and content creator where I talk about fandom, fan fiction, and everything that falls under that scope.
As an author and internet figure herself, and a fan of the actor Misha Collins, Berklie was incredibly willing to collaborate and talk to me about their experiences.
When I got into the Supernatural fandom in 2013, and it was like a direct result of just seeing him too many times, and I wanted to see like what the hubbub was. That was the first place I ever felt like seen, heard, appreciated, valued, anything like that. I was always kind of like outcasted by my peers, and so going online and finding this community that was fostered by him and like somewhat centered around him, and this community like actually cared about me, that was everything for like a little 15-year-old me.
There is a beauty that can be found in this idea of celebrity fandom. While on the surface, the very concept can seem unsettling, there are instances where there is something rather humbling about it. Celebrities can give people someone to emulate, to try and be like for a number of reasons. And yes, the occasional fan may go quite far, like what Karl experienced. As long as we remember that celebrities and internet figures are still people with their own lives behind the screens, then it won't be bad at all.